Hello and welcome to another KERB TV episode. Today we are still doing the KERB Bootcamp, where we're putting Carly, who won the consultation challenge, through some of the best advice that money can't buy, unless you had like maybe quite a lot of money to go to all the different people that we're putting her through. So I'm going to bring in my co-presenter Jack. Hi Jack.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Again, sunny day, stuck inside, as always. Classic.
We can dream.
So let's do what would you be doing? What would you be eating at the market today? It's a Thursday. I'll be at the Gherkin because it's closest to the KERB office. I'm a very lazy person, so I'll go to the closest one. I'd be eating, I think, a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Oh, that's a good shout. Their vegan biryani is delish. I'd probably be at King's Cross today, I think. So I fancy like a Hanoi kitchen because I've been seeing Nigel do lots and lots of cooking at home. So that's probably like a nice noodle bowl today would be perfect.
It's quite fresh, perfect for the weather.
Yeah, kind of got that kind of summer vibes.
Nice.
So yeah, and both Nigel and Brad from Lovely Bunch of Coconuts, you can support our Keep the Wheels Turning campaign, which is here. There. Always get it wrong. It's there. Cool.
So just at the end of yesterday's video, we had a question from one of our biggest fans, Chloe, who's been watching all week. She asked, if you don't have all the content right now to do an Instagram page and you don't want to sort of like mothball it and leave it to be a bit like a desert of content, basically, when should you start it if you're anticipating your business to start in the autumn?
Oh,
and what do you think?
I think like I've through like the incubator program, like we find like a lot, end up meeting like a lot of people who are like at different stages, and sometimes they've like done residencies and then aren't doing anything, and then doing a residency and coming back, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the time I've seen people just sharing like what they're cooking, and especially if that is relevant to like what they plan to do. So like, I love Middle Eastern food, and so I don't currently have a street food business or a food business, but if I wanted to do one, by talking about the foods I love cooking, which generally is along that's what I would share, even if it's not something I'm gonna do on the street. It's still linked to the things that I love and would want to share with the world. So I would be doing it now.
I think if you're passionate about a subject anyway, that'll come through. And you should have a ton of content anyway if you're passionate about that subject. Like I'm very passionate about the naturalist Ray Mears. And if I wanted to start a business based on him, I would be able to have a ton of content of stories of Ray Mears, old shots of Ray Mears, old programs that he ran, me trying out some of Ray Mears's bushcraft, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of stuff you can do. You just need to sort of communicate the passion that's eventually going to go into your business, but start doing it now.
Yeah, but the behind the scenes is really interesting. Like that's why I took from Kara's, like things that you might not necessarily think are interesting. Like people are interested in like unusual ingredients or what like a family recipe or why it's done in a certain way. So I would do it now.
Exactly. So today we're going to be focusing on operations. So operations, I think, for people who are not in the industry, can seem kind of like a mysterious world of like, I don't know what it does. I don't know what operations are. But actually, it's basically the bit where you're making the food and you're giving it to the customer. How do you make that as slick as possible, quick as possible, and make it like an enjoyable experience for not just the customer, but for the people who are working on your stall? And so we've got one of KERB's, I think, top dogs of operations to talk to Carly today. So that is Joel from Oh My Dog. Hello, Joel.
Hey, everyone. Cheers for the intro.
You're welcome.
How's it going?
Joel always wears his shirt and always wears shorts. If you see him Without either of those two, if he's wearing just a white shirt and trousers, he's probably on his way to a wedding.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's
cool.
one of the reasons I started a street food business, really. It's just to wear Larry shirts and shorts every day, grow a beard. And obviously I love food as well, you know, that's given.
Could you give us just a quick potted history of Oh My Dog?
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
And when did it start?
Yeah, so I started in 2013. First started sort of messing around with hot dogs then. I actually started a different business called Top Dogs with a friend of mine. And we did that for about a year, testing out recipes, eating loads of sausages, just trying to work out what makes the ultimate hot dog. We didn't really get very far, though, in terms of actually trading. And after a year of sort of research and a lot of kind of like clashes of just both of us wanting our own way, we decided it was better to part ways. I started Oh My Dog on my own based on the kind of foundations that we'd set up with Top Dogs. And yeah, since then, it's been a roller coaster ride. I guess we're like 7 years now, 6 years, 7 years. Started off doing a lot of events, a lot of pub residencies. Joined KERB in 2015, I think. Might have been, yeah, it's around then. Did all the lunch markets. Yeah, I think it was kind of around then. And yeah, since then we've kind of grown. We do a lot of festivals, a lot of events. We've got a regular permanent pitch in Camden where we've been for 4 years. We're also at Four Pure Brewery doing all of their food. And we have like a regular kind of open air kind of restaurant kiosk kind of vibe down on South Bank every summer. Well, most summers, not
yeah. That's what you would have been doing right now, right? Like preparing for that.
Yeah.
And that operationally is like a big thing. That's 7 days a week. That's potentially hundreds of hot dogs. I don't know, every day. Like
yeah,
thousands. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a big operation. We pretty much have to plan it all year round. So we're only operational for 5 months of the year, but you know the planning and everything that goes like hand in hand with that. You know, it takes months on end because we're essentially opening like a high output takeaway every year for 5 months and then closing it and then starting again the following year. So it's basically like a new reopening. And obviously we learn a bit more each year we do it, but you know, it's a big operation. We need like 16 to 20 staff. We need to actually build the thing every year, but it's great. You know, we love it. And yeah.
What's your top DPH, dogs per hour? What
dogs
can you get up to?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like 300. Like
300 dogs an hour.
If we're set up to do it, so like at events like NFL, yeah, we're totally set up for speed. So we'll have 4 tills, 4 collection points, 1 crazy person at the back manning like 4 griddles, and then someone like trying to manage it and run the sausages from the front to the back. So literally you have people coming up, and by the time one person's got their dog, then the next person's got theirs, and it's just a constant revolving thing. And it's just really simple, classic dogs. Bam, 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 bam. But you know, we can't do that everywhere. But when we're set up to do speeds, we can go really fast.
So we asked you to talk today, partly because a while ago, Rob, who works for KERB, put out a message on our trader community Slack group asking what kind of equipment do you think people should buy? And you wrote, I counted the words, around 2,700 words on equipment that traders should be buying in this huge like tome of information.
Yeah, it wasn't even
I don't know.
It just came to me. But I love it.
When was the last time you wrote an essay that's 2,500 words?
I don't even know if I ever have, to be honest. Maybe at school, but probably not.
Yeah. So you got top marks in that. That's like street food university, you know, distinction. Like,
that's all I need, really.
Share with the other students.
If you want to read some of that information, you can click on the link in the description, which is to the street food starter pack, and it's all in the equipment bit. Even some of Joel's commentary about the different equipment is there as well. So we've asked you today because not only are you amazing at knowing equipment, but you're great at operations. And so we are going to bring in Carly, our consultation challenge winner and participant of the KERB Bootcamp. And we're going to go through the dishes that Carly said, and it's great to get your advice about what equipment she should be using, any tips that she should be doing to like preserve food for longer, make it easier to heat up, make her job easier. And then we'll see at the end whether or not that's been a really useful exercise, because I know it will be.
Sure. Cool. All right, sounds good.
So,
okay, so
Carly, would you like to explain?
Yeah. So basically, my ideal goal is to do Hunanese food, which is like a regional cuisine from where my hometown is. Like really lots of stews. So like most of my dishes probably gonna like need to be prepared beforehand. I'll tell you my dishes now. So one of them is red braised pork belly, which is like a slow cooked stew with pork belly and like loads of just Chinese spices and soy sauce.
Cool.
Next one is beer braised chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It's like needs quite a long time to like braise the chicken in the beer. And the last one is aubergine with pickled chili and black bean. That one is quite like a simple one where I can kind of prepare the chili and black bean topping beforehand, and then kind of just like pop the aubergine on the day, and then kind of like just put it in the big steamer.
Right. Okay.
And then all the other bits are kind of just like little side salads that I can prepare beforehand.
Okay.
So like my worry now is kind of just the braised pork belly and the chicken, because you have to do like such a big quantity. I'm just like, how?
Yeah, it's quite a lot of braising, which means quite a lot of prep time. When we first started out, we used to do a lot of kind of slow cooked toppings. So we did like a braised like chili steak, which we use for our chili dogs. We used to do a pulled pork top hot dog as well, which also took like 8 hours, and then another hour either side of it messing about with it. We used to do like a cherry tomato relish as well, which used to take ages. Over the years, we've cut a lot of that stuff back.
Right.
Still bringing back the specials, but what we found is that just because of the amount of time involved, it made it quite. It's very prep heavy, so it will take a lot of time. Cooking. Are you planning to cook from home, or are you planning to get a prep kitchen? Or
no, I need a kitchen. Our kitchen is tiny in London.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, but what about when you first start though? Are you going to get a prep kitchen from day one, or are you going to be trying to do it from home?
I have to. But Jack mentioned that maybe I can like hit up some traders and see if I can like just kind of part-time rent their kitchen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's always a good way to start. And also like there's Karma kitchens as well, which you can rent for like 6 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever. That might be something where you could find something very close to where you live as well. That might be convenient.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, so in terms of like the braises, how long do they take?
I've not tried it in like the big quantity, but like just small portions. That it usually takes about 3 hours from start to finish for the pork belly. Chicken's probably slightly shorter, probably like an hour.
Right. Okay, that's not too bad then. To be fair,
no.
When you're doing braises, I was thinking like long hours. And would you generally do it in like a big stock pot, or would you do it in the oven in a tray?
Yeah, like a big stock pot. Because basically, I think the reason why I chose these braised dishes is because you can prep it beforehand. So it means like less staff I'll need on the day of market.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of you got to kind of weigh up whether you all your prep beforehand, and then it's like really quick and easy to assemble it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you do all your stuff on the store and then reduce your hours.
Yeah.
It may seem like a cost saving doing all the braising at home yourself, or in your kitchen or wherever. But in the long run, it's going to end up being more expensive because you're going to have to pay someone else to do that. So it's something to think about. I think personally it's good if you can have a balance of the two, but it all depends on what you're trying to do as well. And
it's
like
quite interesting that, because some of the traders that we've seen that have struggled the most have been the ones that have spent a lot of time at home cooking and then still have to cook a lot of stuff on the stall. Like there almost seems like there's two options. You either go like a burger company who just gets everything sent to them ready and then they just cook everything there. They have a lot of staff on, or you have someone who preps everything and then they just basically heat it up and pass it out. But we've had traders who've done maybe days, like prep days that take almost like 2 days to prepare 200 portions or something. And you just need to sort of think about how you can sustain that when you get further on.
Yeah.
Because 200 portions right now might seem like quite a lot. But like Joel said, he could do 200 portions in 40 minutes.
Wow.
At his like peak speed. It's peak
And
DPH.
with like no prep beforehand, literally. Very basic, very simple. But also, it does totally depend on what you're trying to do. You know, if are you thinking you mainly want to do markets? Are you looking to do events, festivals, pop-ups?
Basically, I'm starting with street food markets, but I want a restaurant like as soon as possible because basically I want to bring Hunan food to a wider public, and the best way is just kind of showcase as much as possible. So a restaurant actually would be more ideal, but I need to get the experience first and build up like a following of people that know about it.
Sure. So what, just mainly kind of markets when you're starting out, or you think about doing other stuff?
Markets to begin with.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So you want to kind of be good around trying to get those main kind of 2-3 hours of service, and being able to get out as quick as possible. Then in that case, so it sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah.
In terms of like grazing stuff, like we would often do it in, well, at first we used to do things in pots or in slow cookers. At one point, I used to have like 10 slow cookers, and it was pretty ridiculous, to be honest. Like the cooking involved, all the cleaning.
Yeah.
So that is a way of grazing quite a lot of stuff without spending loads of money on a really expensive oven. But it's quite labour intensive. But it's quite cheap. You know, you can buy a slow cooker for like 60 quid. You get a big one, buy 10 of those. You could probably do 6 litres in each. So that's 60 litres of braised meat. That's probably 150 portions, maybe. I don't know. But if you really want to do volume, you probably want to get yourself like a decent oven, like a Rationale or something. And you can literally have like stacks of Astros filled with braising meats.
Pretty much any commercial kitchen that you rent will have a Rationale, right? Like that's
it depends who you're renting it from. So some traders like just wouldn't have one because they're about 14 grand. So they're really expensive. We used to have one when we shared our unit with Hanks. They had one and it was amazing. But when they moved on, they asked if we wanted to buy it, and we just didn't have a use for it, so it just wasn't right. So if you're sharing with a trader who mainly does their stuff on the street, they're not going to have one. But if you're like sharing a unit with someone like, My Pie or someone,
it's a good example.
Yeah, or if you're hiring them from Karma Kitchens or something like that, they would probably have a Rationale.
Yeah.
There's also a website called Kitchup that I believe people list their kitchens on it. And right now, you'll probably be able to get a load of school kitchens which have got a lot of that equipment.
Yeah.
And they're available to do it.
They're bound to have right now, so something similar as well.
So Joel, if you've braised a lot of stuff, what would you say is the best way to keep it for use in the future? You just like put it in Tupperware.
100%. So you want to get yourself a decent backpack machine. Your braisers, they're going to be quite wet, like stews, right?
Yeah, quite like super.
So you need to get a chamber backpack machine. So there's generally 2 different types. There's one which isn't where I thought it was. It's in the other cupboard. But you get one which is like a little kind of. I'm going to grab it. I'll show you.
So this is where Joel comes into his own. He literally has, I think, all the equipment you need in his house.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I went and picked a load up from our unit when the lockdown happened, so I can cook at home. So you got little vac pack machine like this.
Yeah.
This is just a cheap Andrew James one. You can get this for 30 quid. And these are good. Basically, you get vac pack bags. You put your meat in there or your braise or whatever. Stick it in here. Close it down. Press the button. Boom. The problem with that style of vac pack machine is that if you're doing stuff that's really wet, the liquid, because it's kind of essentially like this with like your vac pack bags like that. Because it's flat, all the liquid will run up into it and it'll mess it up, and you won't get a great feel. What's that?
You hold it like vertically and like do it with two people almost.
I mean, you could try. I wouldn't advise it really, but it's worth a go. But what you really want is a chamber vacuum pack machine, which we also have, just not in my flat. And it's more like a kind of box, and it has like a groove inside, like a ditch. So you put the vac pack in, and it holds the stuff underneath and seals a bit higher up, so you can vac pack wet stuff.
Yeah,
they're generally quite expensive. And there's a lot of talk about, like, you know, you have to have a good one. We got a Buffalo one, right? And Buffalo is pretty kind of like cheap and cheerful. You know, it's not the best. And we've had it for like 2 years. We use it a fair bit, and it's fine. So, like, I would say, like, give one of those a go. Or if, you know, it's going to be a really big part of your business, it's probably worth buying a decent one. You're looking at like a few £100. But if you do that, and by backpacking your food, you're changing the shelf life. If you do it as soon as it's cooked, you lay it all out cool, bag it up, and then generally the shelf life and it'll be like 3 days.
Okay.
Or if you're kind of pushing it, if you vac pack it, you get 10 days life out of it, as long as you're storing it correctly and you cool it correctly as well. But it also makes it much easier to cool your braises down as well, because you can basically bag everything up into like kilo bags or 3 kilo bags or whatever you want. Then you get a big gastro filled with ice water, and you literally just clip all of your bags to the outside, or you put them all in, and then that's going to cool it down quickly.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to have to like buy a blast chiller or something, and like no one buys a blast chiller when they start a street food business. They're like 10 grand, and they still don't even cool things that quick. They still take an hour. So you're off just vac pack all your stuff up, cool it, get in the fridge, and then, it's 10 days, but it's 10 days from the day, including the day you made it, not add day you made it.
So it's what you're saying, like you should just book like maybe a couple of days of kitchen space and then do like all your cooking maybe for the rest of the week.
If you can, yeah.
Because I was thinking maybe like do it, like book it kitchen day before market day and then kitchen day before market day. But
it'll be too expensive. You know, you'll end up spending a lot of time on kitchen time, and any prep that you do yourself, you need to have cost associated to it as well. Because at some point, I know you're probably only looking to do this for a couple of years and then move into a restaurant. If you're going to be opening a restaurant, you're going to need to be devoted to that for like years. That means someone else is going to have to do all the stuff that you're doing with the street food stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, any prep you do, you need to be thinking, right, okay, so if I'm spending 10 hours on this, sorry, I just slammed the door. If I'm spending 10 hours on this, or if I'm spending 8 hours on this, that would actually cost me, you know, 6 months down the line or a year down the line, that would actually cost me like £100 in staff costs. And really, you need to factor that into the cost of your food as well.
Yeah.
So Joel, just for more, thanks for that, by the way. That is like invaluable stuff. Knowing that you can cook something one day and then use it 9 days in the future saves so much time.
Yeah.
So just for more sort of like general tips and operations, do you know about the concept of the magic triangle in a kitchen?
The magic triangle?
You have your hobs, your fridge, and your sink. And you have it in a triangle so you can always reach for stuff. But do you think there's a similar thing in street food stores where you want sort of each section to be devoted to something, so it makes it easy for the members of the staff to know what they're doing and be able to go from like the griddle to the fryer and make sure they're not hitting each other? Yeah,
100%. So like the layout of your store is really, really important. and it's a balancing act between like efficiency, which is obviously really important, but also in street food, what else is really important as well is theatre.
Yeah.
So when we first started out, we were just totally focused on efficiency. So especially where we like come from like doing events and stuff, and then going to markets, what we were doing didn't really work because we were doing everything at the back. You know, everything was laid out for efficiency. We're doing nothing at the front apart from taking orders and handing stuff out. But really, people want to see stuff going on at the front. So you need to kind of weigh up, what are customers going to want to see, and what do we need to have in what place to be efficient. So it's you definitely need to think hard about your processes. Draw out a map on a piece of paper. Work out, if you think this is going to be like our dedicated washing up area, this is going to be, where we're going to do most of our like reheating. This is where we're going to be serving up. You're talking about doing partly. You could probably do most of it all at the front, realistically, because if it's mainly braises that you're keeping warm, you can be kind of making it up at the front, and you're not really need to do too much in other areas. So, and the more simplified you can make your setup, the better. I really envy these traders that turn up and they've literally got a table and a bain-marie and like barbecue traders that literally stand there with a bun and just go.
Yeah.
There you go. We turn up and we've got like 10 stainless steel tables and all this other stuff, and it takes us like 3 hours to pack down.
Yeah, if you can cut it down and stream it down, that's gonna have so many knock-on effects to you loading up the van, unloading the van, taking into things, stuff that you only like start to look at and realize as you do it more and more. But like definitely like that theatre aspect is something you really have to like balance, especially with traders who have like bread products, like who are like rolling out dough and stuff. I've seen a lot of traders who like doing it back of house, and I'm like, this is amazing. You need to have this up the front, but it does then affect like how quickly they can do things. So they have to kind of play around with it, but it brings so many more people to the stall, especially if you're doing something that people might not understand exactly what it is at first. It like helps assure them and kind of interest them.
Yeah.
100%. Also, like one thing that we found is really good, and it took us a while to work it out, was so part of our process is we steam our hot dogs. So we grill the sausages, we assemble them, we steam it, put the sauce on, hand it out. We used to steam everything at the back, and then one day we put a little griddle on the front just for steaming, and literally like big cloud of steam comes up in front of the gazebo. People look over and what's going on over there? And if you're going to be steaming stuff as well, if you can be steaming it at the front, even if you don't necessarily need to, just that coming out the front is going to help. Just like have a bit of like lively kind of action going on at your stall, which always helps.
I want like a massive, huge stack of steamers just for my aubergines.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so if you can squeeze that in at the front, that'd be cool. But you've also got to think operationally, like, what side is the till going to be on? Where are the customers going to queue? Are you going to create like a kind of conveyor belt system like the burrito guys or like, like Subway do, when the customer comes here and they're walking along as their stuff's getting made and they get it at the end? Or is it going to be like you pay, get your food straight away? Or is it pay, get your food, stand over there and wait for a while and then get your food? I would say if you can, like our preferred option is always get the food as soon as you pay. So they get the food, bam, they've got their food. They pay, they've got their food. What you want to try and avoid is ending up with like 2 queues. So a queue of people ordering and then a queue of people waiting for their food.
Yeah.
But some people have to do that, and it's fine. But for us, like I don't really like the pressure of having like 50 customers standing there waiting for their food. Also, just from a customer experience perspective as well, like as soon as people pay, they start getting impatient. It's like if you go to McDonald's now, right? McDonald's used to have the best system in the world, right? It's like 30 seconds, food out. Now they like turn them all into Argos. Like you go in, you press the button, you get your little number, and then you stand there for like 10 minutes, and everyone's so pissed off. And so like people don't mind queuing before they've paid, but they don't want to queue after they've paid, I find.
And I think
do
also,
definitely miss the. I do definitely miss the times where you used to be able to go into McDonald's at like 10 in the evening. You would see a double cheeseburger just lying there, and you would like, "Should I just have that?"
Yeah,
And they'd be
yeah,
like, there you go.
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think for Carly, for you, for when you start, obviously, like we don't know what markets are going to look like when we come back, you know, and I think we don't know how people are going to approach like being out in public with other people and like how people, and so that's one thing like I think really think about is like how quickly someone can get their food, because I think, you know, let's touch wood, we get back on markets like this year, like people I think are going to be a little bit paranoid maybe and a little bit uncomfortable, and anything you can do in that process of serving them and serving them quickly, you know, is I think definitely something that will like have an importance that maybe it didn't have before, or like a different type of importance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And just on that speed as well, I know you're talking about having like different types of grazes and each one comes with different things. One thing you might want to consider is just having essentially each box, it has the same base. So every box has rice, pickles, potato salad, and then it's just different, like the different braises are the only thing you need to do. Because then essentially you could have boxes lined up and you're literally just going rice, braise, hand it out, rice, braise, hand it out, rather than each order around, like this goes with that, that goes with that, this goes with that. Because customers, you know, they you know, they're going to like it either way. And if you can just get going quicker that way, it's probably something to think about.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that.
All right, no
I had a
worries.
few more questions, but I think we've run out of time.
Oh, okay.
We'll get you on for one in the future.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, everyone's frozen.
Fryers for an hour.
I've literally got like so many notes about like gazebos and stuff. So like, if you want any tips about like what gazebos to buy, fire extinguishers, hand washes, just send me a message on Slack.
I'll be getting in touch. Thanks so much.
Cool. All right.
Thanks,
no
Joel.
worries.
Thanks, Joel.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cool.
What did you think, Carly? Was that useful?
That was incredible. I'm going to be messaging Joel for all sorts of advice now.
Yeah, he's amazing. Like he, and like obviously in our Slack, like we have a Slack channel for like you've seen, but for anyone at home, like we have a Slack channel for anyone who's involved in street food, and Joel is like one of those people who's always like on it, just saying, definitely get this, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this, all these 10 different types of fryers, I recommend this one for this and that one. It's like, yeah. He's a fountain of knowledge.
Love it.
Did you get a chance to think about your story of your business?
My story?
Yeah, like your storyline of what the business would be, like almost like the Dishoom idea of like going to a restaurant in a train station or something.
Not yet.
That's fine. We've got ages.
You're not That's okay.
Okay.
So what we'll be doing tomorrow is we're gonna have Alex from Ugly Duck, and we're gonna have Becky from Fiery Celt, who are both currently on the incubator program, and kind of talking about like theory and reality, you know, and what it was like doing all this prep beforehand against like what they found whilst they were on the streets. So yeah, I think for in terms of like homework for tomorrow, I think have you watched The Founder? Right, it's about the story of McDonald's. You don't have to watch the whole thing if you can't find it, but definitely look on YouTube for the scene where they remodel the kitchen, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay, I'll watch that.
Cool.
Thanks, Carly. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
And thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Ollie.
Obviously, remember you can support our street food traders. There. I got it right this time. I just thought, don't do what I usually do.
Yeah.
Just point that. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with Alex and Becky talking about what their experiences of the incubator program were. If you've got any questions, please do let us know. We're more than happy to answer anything you've got. And if we're planning probably to do this workshop boot camp again in the future. And if you'd like to be considered for that, please do fill out the consultation challenge form, which is below in the description of this YouTube video.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll be doing this for you, the viewer, in the future.
And that could be for anyone from anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be like UK based. I think that would be really fun and interesting to like see like how someone else approaches it, and what like the limitations or the opportunities are in other places. So yeah, please do feel free to apply, and maybe we'll be talking to you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.